All right, everybody. Welcome. Good afternoon. My name is Rosa Maria. I work at Lane Community College in the admissions office, and we're going to do a sort of overview of our scholarship application today. For those of you planning to attend Lane this coming school year, fall of 2022, the application is something that we encourage all students to submit. There's plenty of scholarship money out there for you as a local student, as an incoming student, and so we want to make sure you have the information, know where to go within our website to apply for our scholarship opportunities. This is our website, lanecc.edu, and there's a lot of content here, but since the focus of today is scholarships, I won't touch too much on the admissions process, although you do need to be admitted to Lane, which you'll want to submit our application for admissions and claim your Lane email address once you're admitted in order to actually submit our scholarship application. So for those of you who have not applied for admissions, you'll want to do that first. And also wait for your application to get processed, then claim your Lane email in order to then continue on and submit our scholarship application. Just an FYI, if you have an L number because you've been taking some College Now courses, your L number will remain the same, but we do need you to apply for regular admissions in order to be admitted to the college and also to submit our scholarship application. So keep that in mind as you're working through these things. So the easiest way to get to our scholarship application is from the homepage and then clicking foundation. The foundation is the office, the organization that basically is in charge of fundraising funds for scholarship opportunities. If you hover over to their left menu, over on the left, you would want to click scholarships and then scholarship opportunities. You are now directed to the scholarship page. There's a lot of content here. All of it is important. So definitely, keep that in mind as you are going through this process. They have a step-by-step sort of instructions and checklist to help you kind of guide and getting you through it. The first step is just, you're welcome to open these instructions here, have them on the side. If you wanted to print them, you can, although it's a couple pages. Otherwise, I would recommend just having two different tabs as you're, working through this. The application deadline for our application is March 2nd before 11:59 p.m. You don't want to wait till then. I would recommend, and we all recommend, you start on this process early on, especially because there are essay questions required as part of the application. And you'll want to make sure you give folks, especially adults, enough time for them to review it prior to submitting your application. So before you start, make sure that you cover these computer requirements here. Sometimes some web browsers are not as, they might not work in terms of, loading certain aspects of the application. So it looks like we recommend you use Google Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. I prefer Google Chrome just because it's more accessible. So, if that's your preference, definitely use that web browser. And as I mentioned earlier, before you start an application for our scholarships, you do want to make sure that you are admitted to the college as a regular student by submitting our application for admissions, which they provide a link here. And then once you're admitted, you'll get information about your student L number. And like I said, it should match the same one you're using right now if you've been taking some College Now courses at the college. Then you're going to be asked to claim your Gmail Suite account. If you're a Gmail user, it's going to look very familiar. It basically looks like a Gmail account, except that it's branded by Lane. And it's the email that you would want to use to communicate with us for any questions related to scholarships, any questions related to admissions, any questions related to financial aid, for example, or anything related to college business. Your Lane email is what you would want to use to communicate with us. So you want to make sure as soon as you claim it, that you write down the information somewhere, keep it somewhere, memorize it. And at any point you contact us, always make sure to address us from your Lane email address. Get in the habit of checking that email, because once you claim it, all information will go to that email. It's not going to go to your personal email. So anything from the college. You'll want to make sure to have at least minimum unofficial copies of your transcripts. That includes high school transcripts or GED if you're not earning a high school diploma. But make sure you get that in advance from either Mary Beth or Cherie or whoever at your high school, has that information for you. Make sure you have an electronic copy, like it says here, PDF file, and save it somewhere so that you can easily access that and upload it as part of your documentations for this application. Then we get to the piece of the essay questions. So if you are working towards the application right now, you're kind of waiting and stuff, so you wouldn't have the permission just yet to fill out the scholarship application. What you can do as you're waiting is you can work on these essay questions. So what I typically recommend students to do is to copy and paste these essay questions, all 7 of them. If you're a Gmail user, Google Docs is really helpful because you can just paste them to a Google Doc, maybe do Google Doc and maybe title it like Lane Scholarship, essay questions or whatever would work best for you. And that's where you can start like kind of drafting your responses to those questions. You can share that document with an adult. They can, look over that. Always keep in mind that each response is limited to 170 words per essay, no more than that. So keep that in mind. We're not asking you to do a 2-3 page paper per each question. Really limit to 170 words or less. Okay. The other thing, although it's not required that you have the FAFSA completed or the ORSA, it is recommended. There are some scholarships that may be asking for that information, so make sure you get that in if you haven't, either the FAFSA or the ORSA, because there may be several other scholarships within our main scholarship application that will need some of the information from the FAFSA. Okay. You want to apply early. You don't want to, work on this application, a couple days before it's due, because some of the stuff will take a little bit of legwork on your end, to get it organized and get all the documentation that you need. Especially the people, the folks from your high school, if you need like a transcript or you need, a letter or something like that, you want to give them plenty of time. Adults have appointments or things that they're doing, they're taking vacation time, so you don't want to catch them when they're getting ready to be off or whatnot. And so make sure you give them plenty of time to get that information processed to you and give that to you. Kind of general things you want to keep in mind is making sure that you are answering the questions as best as you can, especially as it relates to like what your intended major is going to be. Obviously it doesn't have to be like exact, but just try to answer the best you can, because how you answer some of these initial questions will depend on the scholarships that you're eligible for. So some of the scholarships are based on what the major you're pursuing. They're going to be based on the high school that you're graduating from. They might be based on GPA. They might be based on some other interest, or so based on those initial questions, that will, like I said, determine which scholarships you're eligible for. Again, there's information here about like the format of the documentations that we're asking you. Most of the documentation we wanted in PDF. So if you don't have access to convert a document to PDF, talk to your school. Most schools have that, have the ability to do that, or access to software to do that. So like I said, take a look at this document, have it open as you're working through the scholarship application, because it is really helpful in making sure that you're getting everything that you need for to submit a complete application. So I'm going to go back here. again, if you don't have the instructions page open, you can always just be on this page too, and this will also kind of, list all of those things as well. There is here in instructions, the same instructions that we were just looking at, but in Spanish. Cherie and Mary Beth, if you wanted to, save that or, send that to folks if they prefer to read this information in Spanish, looks like it's also available here. Again, those essay questions, there's also a link here that you can just copy and paste from this page here. The first four, or the first five, actually the first four, I believe, are the same exact questions that you are going to see on the OSAC application. So if you're already working on the OSAC application, they will be exactly the same questions. So you can always copy and paste, tweak it a little bit, and put that same response on this application as well for those particular questions that matches the OSAC application. I don't know if there's a question here. Oh yeah, feel free to type in your questions, guys. All right, so once you have all of that information, this button here will direct you to the apply page, and the apply page to the scholarship application. So you're not going to click sign in just yet. Use your email address and your MyLane password just yet, because you want to create an account first. You want to sign up. So don't put your information and sign in, because they won't let you through. You'll want to make sure to click here where it says sign up first. When you sign up, you're going to put your email address, which like I said, is going to be your Lane email address. You can potentially use the same password that you're using to log into MyLane, just to kind of, keep track of all of these things. And then you're going to click this blue sign up button. After you do that, then it's going to direct you to start the application. I don't have access to look at the next pages, but as you are working through this, just remember, don't put in your information, click sign in. You'll want to sign up first. And then once you have a login credentials, then you'll be able to come back, log out as many times as you can as you're working through this application and sign in. Okay. This page is also helpful if you are looking at other scholarship opportunities. So there's some helpful links here as well. If at any point you have any questions about the scholarship application, maybe you submitted it and maybe you missed to upload something, or something happened, write down this email address here, because this is the email you want to contact for like troubleshooting, for like technical assistance and stuff. You're welcome to email me in my office, but we would essentially refer you back to them, to the foundation, as they're the ones kind of looking at that and monitoring in case the application goes down or something. Other than that, this is pretty much like a basic of like how to get started, and just kind of how to get it done. Are there any specific questions that any of you have about any of the information that I just shared? No? Okay. I don't know if you wanted to say something, Cherie.
I am still monitoring the chat, so you can type something in the chat and I can relay it.
Mhm.
I do have a question. If you could do the thumbs up or down, have you started the application yet?
I don't know that I saw anybody with a thumbs up or down.
Oh,
Oh, somebody
I've started. Okay.
That started.
Good.
Okay. Cool.
Good. I do have a couple of questions, and I might have missed this, my apologies. As far as the personal statements, we oftentimes help students proofread them and give them guidance. Is there some office at Lane that might help them do that specifically?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one office that you could talk to is our career center folks. So if you click on this apply and enroll button here and hover over to here, it says career exploration center and then their contact. You can have these folks, if you email them at this email, or you can call them or visit us in person, they should be able to look at that and review your essay questions, or provide assistance as far as your the scholarship application as well.
And the other question, I know last year the list of scholarships was not on the website so that we could take a look at them. Are they there now? And if not, will they be posted?
I don't think that they are planning to provide a list of all of the scholarships. I think it's because the scholarship list always changes. Sometimes they add additional ones, and sometimes some of them go away. So I think just for the maintenance of that, I don't believe that they're going to be doing that. What they do post is, as I'm hovering over here, is the scholarship recipients that they do post, like who has accepted a scholarship, like for example, who accepted a scholarship like this year. So this is a big giant list of students. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of scholarships here. So it tells, the criteria and stuff, and, who received it and the amount and stuff. But that's probably all that they would release as far as that.
Great. I'm going to keep asking questions if you guys don't mind, because these are the ones that I typically get when students ask me. Could you speak to how these scholarships work with financial aid and Oregon Promise, as far as being stackable, not being stackable?
So if you are submitting a FAFSA or an ORSA, and as well as your Oregon Promise grant, your Oregon Promise grant is a last dollar grant, which means that our financial aid office is first going to charge your whatever you're receiving from grants, and your any scholarships that they see that you received. And if there's still a balance left over, that is when your Oregon Promise kicks in. And if you have a leftover money from all of those three things, then a refund gets sent back to you. So you would get a refund back. But they'll take all of that money that you're receiving and, basically charge your tuition and fees cost, and then whatever's left over goes back to you as a student. And we use what we call a mobile bank, which is where we funnel the money to, and students will have access to their mobile bank account, and you'll see all of the refunds transfer there. Hopefully that helps.
The other question I get a lot is there a limit to the number of scholarships a student could potentially get? So if they got one or two, would the foundation look and said, this person's already got enough, we're going to give it to someone else?
I don't think that they approach it that way. I think there may be some students that have a handful, and some of them could be like $100. Another one could be like $1,000. Maybe there's one that's like $2,000, which for some students, it sometimes averages to like about $5,000, and it's like a combination of different ones. So I don't believe they have a limit to how many, given that all of them are separate amounts. I think they always try their best to give it to the best qualified student. And we have folks in the community who are looking at your essays, who are looking at your application, and they would be the ones that determine, this is a student that we want to award this specific scholarship to. And it could be multiple, so you're not necessarily limited to the number. Although I will say, although we have a couple hundred scholarships, you're not going to be eligible for all of them. So oftentimes students are eligible for maybe like 5 or 10 of them. It really kind of depends on how you answer those initial questions, based on your kind of background information, what you want to study, and all that determines like these are the ones that you're eligible for.
And the question I get, I think most of the time, is do you have to have a really high GPA to be eligible to apply for any or all of the scholarships?
Not necessarily a high GPA. I think that there are some scholarships, very limited ones, that have some GPA requirement. But from what I've heard from the director of the foundation, is that that's not really a big consideration on, as they're looking at applicants. They're looking at more heavily on other kind of criteria. But you will see a handful of them that do have a GPA requirement.